It is a great honor and privilege to introduce Shlomo Haringman.
There in the book, there is the story how I came to them and my mother come take me out.
Wow. And Shlomo, your family has been many generations in Holland.
Oh, I tell you, in 1812, Philip Bonaparte, the brother of the Kaiser of France,
Napoleon,
his brother, was the king of Holland.
Oh.
He was a very bad man, but he told the government that everybody must have a
family name.
So my family was Kohanim. I doesn't know that, and Emmanuel Cohen, but his name was Menachem Cohen Kalman. Kalman was his father's name. Everybody had a father, was the second name. So I asked when we were in Holland, and I find that I doesn't know that I am Cohen. Nobody from the family came back. I was 4.5 years, and all the family Haringman was killed. So I doesn't know that I am Cohen. I meet her in the kibbutz, Shtchot, and I say, okay, we will marry here. Don't forget, I have nobody in the world. I was a child when I came here in 1949 with my sister. She was younger than me. It was a very bad time for me. Okay, but I meet her, and she says she wants to marry in America. I say no. In 62, I have 200 lira. That is all what I have. And she take me out of the kibbutz. And I have no work, nothing. And I say, no, I want to marry here. She said, no. But a year before, I was in Holland for the first time. And I meet 3 cousins from my mother's side. And I stay with them. Very nice people. And they have a bar mitzvah. I say, ma'am, I saw a bar mitzvah in Holland. I will marry it in Holland. I am in Dutch. I have a Dutch passport. I can marry it. So I take here to that Rabakut, and I ask the family in Holland, and they say, you can't marry here. I say, why? You must stay in Holland 1 year.
That's the law.
Before you can marry it. I say, Miriam, I have a chutzpah, I go to Holland. I come to Holland, my family say, Israel is a chutzpah. And I went to the Mirsham Moshavim,
the rabbinate.
I say, I want to go back in Holland. He said, this is the first time I heard that somebody from Israel come back. Why you come back? I say, in Holland, in Israel, I have no person. Here I have a little bit of family. I can here learn and work with my family. He said, okay. So he writes that I am now in Amsterdam. I said, can you give me a letter that I live in Amsterdam? He said, no problem, Mr. Haringman. Geen probleem. Okay. When I have the paper, I went to the desk from the married. And I said, I want married. He said, you live in Amsterdam. I said, yeah, I live in Amsterdam. He said, okay, you can marry here. Wow. I called, she was in Israel. I sent her a telegram, come to Holland. And she came. And I went with her
לרבנית.
Yes. No, עוד פעם, למרשם התושבים. And he said, you can't marry. You are only a week in Holland. And I saw the person there, they gave me the letter. And he laughed, he said, come to me. He said, you are chutzpah Israelis. But I give you to marry.
Wow.
I said, thank you very much. And we take a day, but then begin the problems. Her father was in America. Her mother was in America. And they said, she had a letter, that she can marry it. He said, with me. There's no Shlomo Haringman. Oh, what can we do? So I went to my cousin. I said, I have an old Remington. Maybe it help you. So she took this Shlomo Haringman. And we went back to the, he said, you make it very quick. In America and it is back. But it says Shlomo Haringman, it's okay. So we take then I went to the Rabbanut. And they said, after that you married
Civil marriage.
then you can marry Orthodox.
Dan je kan hebben goed buiten. You need first civil marriage and then...
So we take a day, it was Sunday. Op Shabbat, we married before also for the government.
Civil marriage.
So I have a paper that I married. And the Rav Just was Rav Just from Hungary. He came to Holland to be the Rav Rashi in Amsterdam. And they called me to the Torah, and they make the Haftarah. And there was somebody, he said, where are you born? I said, in Holland. Spreek je nog Nederlands? Ik zei, ja, ik spreek nog Nederlands. And it's very difficult. I came here, was 10 years old. Never I spoke Dutch.
Wow.
And I speak Dutch.
You never forgot?
Yeah. All the children that came with me to Israel, nobody speaks Dutch. Only me and my sister. So ja, ik spreek nog Nederlands. Wat is je naam?
Ik versta.
Ik zeg, Haringman. Haringman? Al de Haringman zijn Kohen. Voor de oorlog.
And you never knew?
You didn't know.
Wow.
Absolutely. Shlomo, Haring, you are Kohen? I said, no. I can tell you that. How do you know it? Today, there was Motzei Shabbat was 11 o'clock. We go to the Jewish...
Beit Forim, the cemetery?
No, not the cemetery.
Not the cemetery.
Where the community have all the documentation.
Oh, okay.
Grootse gemeente, we call it. And for me, I said, no, yes. So we take him, the Rav, to the Joodse gemeente, and they open it for us. And I saw, if you see that, it was a megerot.
Drawers.
Okay. And he said, it is
I saw the
Haringman.
papers of the key.
Is this part of the Jewish community in Amsterdam?
That's right.
And they weren't Orthodox. But everybody in Holland want Brit Milah, want Bar Mitzvah, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and died in the Jewish
cemetery. They married, they still had Jewish weddings.
My family wasn't Orthodox. And he said,
but traditional.
Yeah, and he take it out. Here.
Wow.
I say, Cohen, Isaac, Haringman. That is your father. I said, how you know? He said, he married your mother, Margareta, Vas, Bat Levi, and you born in 1839, Kavbet.
38.
38. Yes,
1938.
And
your sister.
Kavbet
Elul. I said, and my sister was also there.
When was your sister born?
My sister born in 40. Holland was Oh, I say, I want to know my grandfather. He said, you know your name for grandfather? I say, what they tell me that I have the name Solomon after my grandfather. So you say, here's your grandfather. Cohen Solomon Haringman. He had 4 children. I doesn't know that.
So you find him for the first time?
Yes.
Wow.
And also, for the first time, I see the name of my grandmother, Rosa Furt. He says, Shlomo, I'm sorry, you are a Kohen. I say, Araf, we forget it. Nobody in Israel knows it. I don't know, I don't want to go. He said, right, it's good. I said, no, if I come back, the people will say, הלך לחפש את האתונות ומצא את המלוכה. מה פתאום אתה נהיית לנו כהן?
They won't believe you.
That's
Yeah. But he give me on the כתובה, he write Kohen and everything. So,
And Shlomo, when you found out who your grandparents and your parents were, it must have been very, very emotional, very...
so
Don't forget, but
You
they
never
all
knew.
killed in the Holocaust. That means he had no.
and
real
so we
memories.
go back 4 or 5 times, and we sit in the
Archives,
in
archives
from Amsterdam,
the city archives.
and we go for me when I born, and then my father, my grandfather, and we know
this is in the city, this not the
city,
Jewish, in the
not the
main...
not the Jews, the city.
And it's a birth certificate?
Yes, everything is there. Also the Brit Milah is there. Wow. And we found, oh, you take it.
No, it's very good.
And he take it, and we found that the first one was Emmanuel. Emmanuel was not a Jewish name. Menachem was the name. And why Emmanuel? The people in Holland, the Jews, הם רצו להיות שווים.
They want to be equal with the non-Jews.
אז אמרו שהם צריכים לקחת שם לא יהודי.
They must take a non-Jewish name.
Yes, and they take Emmanuel.
Emmanuel is a Jewish name anyway,
He
but
born-
it's also Goyish name.
I have the books here from there. He born in 1756. And he married also somebody, my grandmother, she came from, איך קראו למקום הזה שהיה פרעות בגרמניה? איך קראו לה כבר? טוב, לא חשוב.
She came from Germany.
Yes, the family came from there in 1602 or 1600, and they take the name Haringman. They came there and they asked the name Haringman, and they asked the head of the
In the Jewish community.
no.
Where you...
No, איפה אמרנו, איפה שעשינו את החקירה.
at City Hall.
At City Hall, okay.
Yes. Why you take the name Haringman? He's a Kohen. He say, don't forget, maybe the same day came 10 Kohens, 10 Levites. They say, no, that is not a Jewish, take another name. You know, he was 56. And they were afraid from the government. And and they asked him, what did you do today? He said, I am in the shuk.
In the market?
You know, but there I have a Haringman. And so I have the name Haringman.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Here, can you see, here, when I born, my parents שמו מודעה
Oh, they put a notice in the newspaper.
find it in the internet. Old, you see?
Can you read it?
What, this?
Yeah, what they put in.
נילי,
Okay.
מה רוצה לקרוא את זה?
לקרוא את
Yeah,
זה.
but-
אבל what's התרגום בטח לאנגלית?
Oh no, even to read it.
Okay, read it in Dutch.
Oké, met grote blijdschap geven wij kennis van de geboorte van onze zoon Salomon Haringman. Isaac Haringman, Grete Haringman was. Amsterdam, 18 september 1938.
And should we just translate it for
Okay.
Miriam? Thanks.
This is to certify that a son was born to us, Salomon Haringman.
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 לא גימל, Haringman.
Haringman.
And underneath are the parents. I, Haringman, is Isaac Haringman, his father, and Greta Haringman was. Oh no, this is Shlomo. This is Shlomo, it's not your grandfather. It's Shlomo. Isaac Haringman was his father, and his mother was Greta. It's a short form of Henrietta Haringman was. Her maiden name was Was. And the date is Amsterdam, 18th of September, 1938. They have the address, and that's it. You took these.
It's amazing.
Did you manage to photograph
it's
it before?
wonderful, yeah. And Shlomo, can I just ask you, if you could just a little bit about what happened, what you remember. What is your earliest memory that you can remember,
Jewish memory?
or any memory that you remember?
Maarten zat in Holland.
Oh,
Toen jij het gedaan.
I have a very good remember. If you haven't read the book.
Okay, but what do you remember? It's
When I went to Yad Vashem and asked in 1977 that they have be no,
Rightous Gentiles. Because Haringman came to visit Israel.
okay.
Chasidei Motanan.
מיד בשם, עוד חסידי אומות העולם.
Chasidei Motanan, the righteous Gentiles.
And they asked me things. And I told them I was there and I have a dog. And stories, I remember a lot. And when they come here, and they doesn't know that I make it for them. And I take them to Yad Vashem.
Someone gave testimony that they were the righteous Gentiles, but they didn't know it when they came to
We
visit us.
they have a tree with the name, everything. And they told the story about what he did for us in the war. And he said, Bob, you remember that? You were 3.5 years when you come to us. I remember, Miriam knows, I remember a lot of things. Also today, that one thing, 3 years ago, I was in Hoensbroek. And there came a book, Miriam told me the book. Somebody,
Hoensbroek is
Jan van den Berg.
where he was hidden.
Dit is een
Don't
nieuw
forget,
boek.
he was born in
Joodse
Amsterdam.
onderduikers in Hoensbroek. En kwamen ze 96. The family told me that only me and my sister were in Hoensbroek.
It's a little village.
But there were 96 children and only one the German fighting.
Wow.
And Hunsbrook is a city near the German border.
It's in the south of Holland.
Yes. And I told him, he doesn't know, a lot of people he know, but me and my sister, he doesn't know nothing. And I begin to tell them the story of us. And I know that I was there. But years ago, I asked, who bring me to this family? That organization. And I find that Jan van den Bos was a student from Friesland. He was a Protestant. And South Holland is Catholic. So they doesn't
They don't get along.
no. And he was a mine worker where there was no work in Holland. So they went to the south before the war and worked in the mines. And also the Germans were happy when they come. They want pecham, no?
They want the coal from the mines.
coal,
that they-
Yes. And I was there, and he find, I know I was a lot of times, and I can remember that the head of the police in Hunsbrook
That
was
was
a
the
good
village.
friend from Heid. Heid in Fries is father. I called them Heid and Mem. And when he knows what he was the head of the police, when the Gestapo will come and to find Jews and workers, they must go to work in Germany. And he came to him and said, you must put out the children, find an address, and always you have an address. I don't know why, more. And in the beginning, my sister was not with me, but I told them, you must read the book.
We will.
You told her that when I come, he doesn't know that I'm that I'm Jewish. Only to take me off the clothes, she said, "Oh God, it is a Jewish boy," and it's okay. He will stay with us. And I told them about my sister, that I was a little sister, and he said to his wife, I want to find where is his sister. And I don't know how he found, but he know that I don't know where is my sister. And he went in the night with bicycle to there, and he found my sister. And the family there said, we want no more the child. She's too Jewish.
Looking.
Yeah.
And the woman was afraid, she was sick that she was Jewish. And he said, okay. He went back to his wife and said, we have one, we take two. If the German will fight us, and we will die from two. And he went to there and take my sister, and take also my sister.
She was in another village.
And how old was your sister?
My sister was then, she born in
40.
40, and it was 43.
3 years.
3 years old. And Shlomo, do you have memories of your parents?
Yeah, and no my father, a little bit. I remember my father once, and now I know it. He walked with להרוויח כסף.
He worked in order to make a living.
And he went with not Jewish people, with the black market. And the police
They found him.
and they put him in the Yale in Amsterdam. But the not Jewish, they said go away. And my father, they called the Gestapo and take my father. And he take them to Westerbork. Westerbork was
a transit camp.
No, it was a concentration camp in Holland.
In Holland. From there they went to Auschwitz and but my mother doesn't know nothing. And I remember, I was 3.5 years, 4 years, that she had a soul, a big soul, and the smoke was so good. And I wait. And my father come back with a bar, with
The beard.
Yeah, and dirty. And he eat all the fish. And I was very angry with my father. That I remember. I know it. And my mother said, we must go לחפש...
We have to go on for a place to hide.
נכון. But he had to fight him. ושנה שלמה הרביצו לו מכות רצח בגלל שהוא ברח מהזה.
Because he escaped.
Because he escaped, exactly. They beat him.
הוא היה בפרט.
He was in Vught, concentration camp.
כן, אוקיי, לא חשוב.
No, and
הוא
then,
מת בסוביבור.
and then they took him to Sobibor.
And my mother, but you must read it, came, I was play, on 18 September 1944 was my birthday, 6 years. And the family doesn't know my name. Why? Initially, my mother was a communist. And they help her with
A false identity card.
I have it here. And there, the name was Marianne Gerritsen. And Marianne Gerritsen had 2 children. One, Bob Gerritsen and Eva Gerritsen. So my mother said, now you are not more Solomon, you are Bob Gerritsen. But tell a child for 3 or 4 years and give him another name. So only Makot.
She hit him.
I said, you have a new name, don't, and everywhere you come, don't say Solomon Haringman, Sally.
He shouldn't reveal his real
So
name.
you met your mother came to find you.
Wait. And I was there in the family, but you never read it. And he knows that my name is Bob Gerritsen. I never told him that it's not my real name. And my mother, I was play outside. It was 2 days, 3 days after that Americans were with us. And I play with children. And one
This is the place where he was hidden in the south of Holland.
one child came to me and said, your father asked for you. My not Jewish father. You know. And he came, he was a strong man, he take me boom up. And I saw my mother stay outside with a bicycle. In Nazir.
With a priest.
Yes, and they never help us the Catholics. And I was afraid from Catholics. And I saw my mother, and I said, Dag mom!
Wow.
And we went inside. They had a very small apartment, and we sit there, and my mother said, I'm back, and I want my children. And they say, but they are also our children. And my not Jewish mother doesn't want to give me back to my mother. And my sister said to my mother, I don't want you. I have a new mother. And they asked my mother if she can, we can stay with them another week. And another week they bring us to Maastricht, you know. There I live, was a sister of my mother. She was non-Jewish married, and we came there. But it was bad there, and the government of the Americans showed, you know, they give us an apartment from Nazis. They were in the Yale, and we have the apartment.
Now this is after the war. The war had already
After
ended.
the war, in 44.
After the...
There it was already free, the south of Holland.
Yeah.
And we lived there. My mother, officers of the American soldiers, they came, you know, every time, new one, and went inside Germany. And the high persons, they sleep with families. And so my mother had food.
These were American soldiers.
And she worked also for them. She
did the laundry for them, so they gave her money.
And they gave the money, and she can buy in American. And in 8 May 1945, when Germany
When it's surrendered.
also Amsterdam was free. And my mother said, we go to Amsterdam. So
don't forget, Maastricht is the south of Holland.
And you went to...
It's a long trip.
So we take a big trip to Amsterdam. And I don't know how my mother knows where 2 of her cousins התחבאו במלחמה.
Where 2 of her cousins, where they hid.
And we came, there was a small room, היה להם איזה תנור קטן, עפו על זה.
They had a little...
And my mother take from the Dutch family, the Nazis, סדינים, כל מיני דברים,
sheets, whatever she could take with her.
And that was the first time that I saw back Amsterdam. We take later the train back to Maastricht. We stay there, I don't know how many times. And then I have a family. I told you that for the first time I saw the name of my grandmother. She was Rosa Furt. And Rosa Furt had a brother. The Americans killed him. It was a train, a Germany train, and doesn't know that there were prisoners inside. And they bombed it and they were killed. But
it was a mistake. It was...
Yes. But the woman of him, Tante Annie,
his wife,
she had 3 children. I remember that. And we came there, and she told my mother, I went back with my children to Zandvoort. I give you and take the apartment, rent it. And so in the beginning we have an other apartment and we wait, and when she go to Zandvoort, we take the apartment. And it was the name Holendrechtstraat number 7. And I played there with the children, and there was a school not far away. And I hate with my sister to go to the school. Why? They were every morning before the school and said, vuile Jood, breek je poot over een stukje roggebrood. יהודי, תתרגם me, Jews,
Jews are dirty.
Hold on.
Jews, dirty,
פעמיות, break your pot, תשבור
dirty
את הרגל
Jews
שלך,
break your legs even for a piece of bread. That means they
every
were
morning.
so anti-Semitic.
Who would say this? The children?
The children.
Yes.
So he was afraid. He didn't want to go.
So my mother, she was a small woman, but a very strong woman. She went to the school
Went to the
and said that they make a noise of that. And after one day, no children were there. And it was there, but my mother came back from the war and she had cancer.
Oy.
And I remember we were there, but my mother was a lot in Bete Cholim.
In the hospital.
And also from Hoensbroek, the daughter came with us, sit with us. And
daughter of those who saved him in Hoensbroek.
They came to...
They sent the daughter to Amsterdam to look after Shlomo and his sister.
Because you were only 7 and you're around 7 and your sister was 4.5.
I was...
No, less than that.
Huh?
How old were you
6.
then? 7 and Chava 5?
I was 7.
Yeah, and your sister was 5.
And Chava 5.
And his
5.
sister.
And in 15, I was in the hospital, I remember, and my mother, she looked so bad. And she took my hand and said, you moet op je zusje passen.
You have to take care of your sister. You tell us you're a child of 7. What would
And a day it was
Wow.
She was dying of cancer.
15 April 48. A month before the born state of Israel, she died.
Oy.
And the cousin of my mother came and say, look from the room, there will come a car, and in the car is your mother.
Oy, oy, oy.
And I look, I was 9 years, and my sister was 7.5. And then when the car go away, he say, children, you are alone in the world. You have no person.
Shoo.
And further, I don't tell you more. It was I came later, a year later to Israel, and they put me in a camp, in an English camp.
Did you come with your sister?
Yes. And always my sister with me.
Shlomo, can I just ask, how did your mother survive the war?
I don't know.
Did she tell you, or?
No, I know my father was in Westerbork. We have it here in the book. And not the Germans take them to Auschwitz or to Sobibor. The Hollands make it, trade from Holland. And they had the chutzpah, what we say. They pay for the trip.
They asked the Jews to pay for the trip?
Yeah, they take
For one-way ticket.
For the tickets. And now, a half year ago,
They apologized. The railways of Holland apologized. I remember.
and half year ago, I don't know who, but חברת הרכבות ההולנדית,
The Dutch company.
they say they will pay for that. So if I born before the war and in the war, and they take my father, he comes back, they give me 7,000 euro. But I say also my mother. And they say, I have a letters and that. No, we don't find your mother. I know, she wasn't in Sobibor, we know that. And it's unbelievable. how the Dutch people, I remember also one thing, when we come back to Amsterdam, my mother said, we go home to the Hegestraat. And she...
Rings the bell.
Yes. And the woman who lived
Upstairs.
they take the apartment and say to me, but then you come you back and shut the door.
Oy.
And
it was your mother's apartment. It was.
The law in Holland is, if you 3 months or 6 months not in the apartment, it is not more for you.
You lose your rights.
You lose your.
Dan nu leg ik in de stereotype. Aye.
No, you know what we're gonna do? This is maybe.
You want to make it?
If you could, this is unbelievable. This you didn't even know that there was this book.
No, we didn't know there was a book, and then all of a sudden, a cousin of mine sent us the book from America. So in the end, and they brought us the book. The people.
So maybe if
See
we
this
do,
one here.
Okay, maybe if you can sit
you-
over
you-
here and we'll.
You want to? I
Yeah.
can read what's written in the book.
Okay, this is wonderful. I'm just going to.
The name of the book. You also want the bathroom, or
No. Miriam, if you Shlomo's wife, how long have you been married?
We married in 1963. I came to Israel in 1961 on the year course of Young Judea. Young Judea was a Zionist youth movement in the United States. And I decided I wanted a break between high school and university. So I said, I'll come for 1 year in Israel. And I have family here. My father's sister and brother both came on Aliyah. So I had not only aunts and uncles, I had cousins, and I had more distant family. So, and for part of the year, we were in Jerusalem, we had an ulpan, and then we went to kibbutz, and I chose shluchot. And we were there for 3 months, and that's how I met Shlomo, on the kibbutz.
And did you know that Shlomo was a survivor?
I don't think in the beginning he said very much about it, because he had come, I knew that he had been in Chevrat Noah, Youth Aliyah, in the kibbutz, and he went to the army, and he came back to the kibbutz.
לא היה לה איפה ללכת.
No, but
That was your home. Yeah. And when did you hear about this book? Or
this book, this is a copy. We didn't have the book. We didn't know anything about
it's
the
called
book.
the Rescuers.
Rescuers. And we got letters. This one,
והיה תערוכה שלמה במודרן מוזיאון בניו יורק.
that's right. There was,
ככה וגילו, המשפחה שלך ראו 2 תמונות ענקיות שלך ושלי
That's
בכניסה.
Oh, so we're going to just so Shlomo,
an
there was an exhibition in New York, and
Yes.
it had the
When
2 pictures of you and
But
your
we
sister.
doesn't know that.
we didn't know this book was written, because it was written in America. We didn't know that it was first exhibited. They took from the book, they took the pictures of the people who saved Shlomo, and that was at the entrance. So a cousin of mine who lives in New York saw
זה
it.
היה ג'וני.
Linda.
ג'וני. היה הראשון, ג'וני פרנקל.
נכון.
אמא שלה הייתה פה.
נכון. An English cousin of mine was in America. I think he had a sabbatical or something.
הוא פרופסור היה.
He was a professor at the university, and his mother told him, look, and at the exhibition of the book at the Jewish Museum, I think it was.
In what year? Do you know
This
roughly?
was, when was this?
מה?
באיזה שנה זה היה?
בסוף שנות ה-90 אני חושב.
In the 90s. And these big pictures, and when they were in New York and they saw the pictures, and they said, oh, that's Shlomo who lives in Jerusalem.
Amazing. Sure. Shlomo, this
So
is
they
incredible.
bought a book. They said, we have to buy them a book. And someone else,
לא, זה הם
this
שלו.
one.
לי זה שלך לנו.
This is the people who
זה
saved.
הם. הם באו להנה להביא לי את
נכון.
הספר.
The people who saved Shlomo and his sister, they brought us this book. But we had another one from our cousins in
we had
America.
four.
We had four.
And the people who saved Shlomo, they didn't stay in Holland after the war.
No, they didn't want to stay in Holland after the war.
Where did they go to?
They went to Canada.
And what is the inscription in the book?
I told you why they went to Canada. And when my mother was very sick, but he told her, I doesn't know that, they came from Hoensbroek to my mother and said, we want the children back. And my mother said no. So I told you, read the book.
So
But I doesn't know that. And my mother said, no, I don't give you my children back. And
They were insulted because we saved them, and they were willing to
my
raise their own children.
not Jewish mother, she was very angry with my mother, and said, in the war, we give us our life, and we love the children, we want them. And my mother said, no, I want that they be Jewish.
Wow.
And he said, read the book.
And Shlomo, did they have other children?
He had two children.
This family had two of the other children as well.
That's right.
And Shlomo, can I just ask you, because this is really important, when you first saw your mother, and you saw her with the priest, and you said, Dag,
Dag, Mom.
how was it when you saw her? Did you run up and kiss her? Did you hug her?
No, I went back to to play with the children.
You didn't run up and... You were very small, but... How was
the difficult time? When I went back to my mother, I have back my name, Sally Haringman. And when my mother died, I take the name Bob again. And I was in Holland a year by Dasberg. They take children to send them to Israel, and all the children there know me as Bob. No, רובם מתו כבר.
Were you close with your mother? Did you develop a close connection with your mother, a close relationship?
Yes.
And your sister as well?
Oh, my sister, But, the difficulty in the war, we have my mother and my father in the beginning. Later, I was by the Goyim, and they were our father and mother. And after the war, I have my mother. So I have. And when I come here, I have nobody. And for me, the Shoah begin when I come to Israel. And in the beginning here in Israel, they doesn't like the people from Europe.
It was difficult.
Only after Eichmann began.
And it's the anniversary. They say yesterday was the anniversary of the Ahmed trial.
That's right.
It's amazing. Okay, so wow, Miriam, if you could just read the inscription from this book, this is incredible.
Okay, I can read it in English. It's in English. This book is a gift to Shlomo and Miriam Haringman. In remembrance of World War II, Shlomo was Bob to us. From Hyde, Johannes de Vries, and his daughter, Zus Greta Riede, this book was given August 16, 1992.
And if you could read the story that they give, it's something unbelievable. And you never knew about this book. You didn't even know this book.
I'm telling you, we received this book. We were told about the book. A cousin of mine sent it to us from America. And who else gave us? Linda gave us a copy. We have 4 or 5 from different people.
I give all my children a book.
Here.
So this is the family.
In the war, And Dad is in Canada before he died.
And this is the, I'm just going to,
The Fries family, Johanna.
oh, so maybe if you could read this for our viewers, it's
How much do you want me to read?
it's only 2-3 pages. Or 4
Okay.
pages. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
I can read
wonderful.
it. Yeah, I
Oh,
can do
wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay. What I can do is I can photostat it.
No, it's wonderful if you,
You want me to
read
read?
it.
Okay.
Sure.
Johannes de Vries, which of course in Canada became Joe, because Johannes is a very, Dutch name.
Hold on 1 minute.
It will be difficult for me in the night when I go to bed.
Shlomo, I know that.
You want me to show you the pictures first?
Please.
Okay.
And don't forget, I'm 83. I don't know how much I will live.
Maybe string plus.
Nachon.
Bezrat
Okay.
Hashem.
The-
So
This
this
is
is the
These are the
Vries.
people who saved them. This is Johannes and Janka de Vries. Here. That's the way they appear.
Okay.
And this is Johannes now. When the book was written, the book came out, I think, in the 1990s.
92 I'm out.
92. Okay, let's say that.
With
Okay.
million lady.
Joe de Vries greets us with an outstretched hand and a big smile. I'm Joe, he says, as he walks us past a touch of Holland in his Dutton, Ontario home, a tidy row of shoes lined up by the front door. Joe's daughter, Greta, and her son and her husband, Cyril, have traveled from Toronto to help her father with the interview. But Joe needs no one to stir his memory. Warm and relaxed, he remembers vividly and fondly how he and his recently deceased wife, Janka, hid 2 Jewish children in his home in southern Holland for the duration of the war. A few years ago, my wife and I were sitting in the kitchen, having a cup of coffee, and then we came to talking about that time. I said, I still can't understand how we'd be so crazy to risk our lives for those strange people. And my wife said, yeah, we'd never do it again, would we? No, I said, and she looked at me and we laughed. She said, you know just as well as I do, we would do the same thing over. I was born in 1911 in Oberkoeten, a village in Friesland, the farming country in Holland. I was the second youngest of 9 children. My father worked hard on his small farm to make ends meet. I was closer to my mother, but she was also strict and hardworking. We went to Sunday school, but I sneaked out to go swim in the canal. The rules in our family were that we couldn't lie, steal, or kill, and we had to help the elderly and children. Otherwise, we grew up free, Those days were different, and we were in the country. I was only 17 when I married Janka. I couldn't find work in Friesland, so we moved south to Hoensbroek in Limburg, and I started mining coal. Rita was born in 1929, and our son came 2 years later. We knew during the 30s that Jews were beginning to come from Germany to cities in Holland. Then, in 1940, Rotterdam was bombed, and many children who had no homes were sent out to people all over Holland. We took one of these children. He stayed a year, and after he left, a woman came to the house to talk with Janka. She knew we had the boy from Rotterdam, and she asked if he would take another child. Janka said yes, right away. But then the woman said, it's a Jewish child. Janka said,
No, the lawyer.
oh, I'll have to talk it over with my husband. We talked for some time, but we decided, when would you close the door on someone like that? And you heard later that he was destroyed. How would you feel the rest of your life? I think I would be destroyed myself. So in 1942, Shlomo Haringman came to live with us. Of course, that name sounded too Jewish, so we called him Bobby. His father was killed in Sobibor, along with his parents and all his brothers and sisters. Their mother asked the underground to help her find a place for her children to hide, and then she went into hiding herself. Bobby was 3.5 years old. He was scared like a little bird because he had been moved around too much. The first night we found out he was asthmatic and was still wetting the bed. We were glad they brought him to us and not to someone else who might have turned him back. We all loved him. He was so sensitive and intelligent. Greta was 14 and used to take him outside at night and back of the house where there were no houses, so he could walk around outside. He would cry for his mother, and Greta would cry too. Bobby had a little sister, 1.5 years old. I snooped around and found that she was with a woman who wanted to give her up because she was too scared. So I talked it over with my wife, and we decided to take her. We thought, if they shoot us for keeping one, they'll shoot us for keeping two. I didn't tell Bobby I was going to get his sister, and when I came in with her, he was in the front room playing. I thought they'd break the house down. They were so excited to see each other. Her name was Eva, we called her Eve, and they were our children. There was nothing like our children and the Jewish children. They were all our children. But daily life was difficult. I was so tense during those years. I felt like a fiddle string. I could have slit a throat. All the neighbors thought Bobby and Eve were children from Rotterdam. It may have been safer if we would have taken the kids to Sunday school, but I didn't believe that was right. Some people did try to make their Jewish children into Christians, but we never did it. Limburg was an area known for keeping Jewish children. Sometimes the underground would need a place for a Jew to stay for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, and we would always take them. We kept about 15 other Jews for short periods of time. The underground promised to provide food stamps, but they didn't always get to us. Sometimes I had to go up to Friesland to get food from the farmers, and it was dangerous traveling back with the food because the Nazis always patrolled the roads. We always had to be careful. The Dutch Nazis were the worst because it was hard to know who they were. I saw one little girl being taken from the home where she was hiding, and I vowed then never to let my kids be taken. We were lucky to have a good friend in the police department. He would let us know if there was going to be a raid. We'd clear out of our house and leave it empty for a few days, maybe even 2 weeks. Once he even hid my wife and kids in the jail for 2 nights. We did have some funny times. We took all the kids to the village photographer during the war, and Eve was so adorable that he put her photograph in the window of his studio. My wife ran down there real fast and bought both the picture and the negative. The war ended in the south of Holland in the fall of 1944, but Mrs. Haringman wasn't free until the spring of 1945. She knew what village we lived in, but she didn't know our name. The underground had rules about things like that. We sent her pictures of them all during the war, but they said it wasn't safe for the parents to know where their children were. So when she came to Hunsbrook to find them, she gave their pictures to the local priest, and he brought her to our house. He was surprised because he never knew these kids were Jewish. The thing was, the children didn't want to go to their mother. When she asked Eve, "Do you recognize me?" Eve answered her, "You are my mother, but you left me, and now we have new parents." She could see that they had been taken care of pretty well because they wanted to stay with us, but they had to go back to Amsterdam, and we visited back and forth all the time. In 1947, Mrs. Haringman got cancer, and Greta went to Amsterdam to stay for a time to help take care of the kids. We knew we were going to move to Canada, so we went to her and asked if we could adopt Bobby and Eve and take them to Canada with us. But never try that with Jews, because it was her mother's wish that they have a Jewish education, which we couldn't give them, and that they go to Israel. When we moved to Canada, it was When we moved to Canada, it was like taking a heavy weight off. The wartime was still hanging on you in Holland. We were never homesick a minute, and that was 40 years ago. The children went to Israel according to their mother's will in 1949. We lost touch with them until we finally got a letter from Bobby in about 1951 or 52. He had written to the police department in Hunsbrook and found our address. Now they had taken his Israeli names, Shalom and Chava. In 1977, Yanka, Greta, and I all went to Israel to get our medal and plant the tree at Yad Vashem. We spent about 3 weeks with Shalom and Chava. They've visited us here too. They're coming again this summer. It will be their first trip since my wife died. When I was in Yad Vashem, I felt very proud of what we did. I still do. Right after we got back from Israel, some friends came over for a visit. We showed them the big medal and certificate we'd gotten. And this fellow said, "You people think you did a very good deed. Well, you committed a big sin. Those Jews, they killed Jesus." I said, "You haven't read your Sunday school lesson very well, because it was the Romans who killed Jesus, since Jesus was a Jew himself." But I went to the closet and took out his and his wife's coats, and I told them, "Here's your coat, you better go and never come back." My wife cried when they left. I could have killed them. The way I see it, there are a lot of people who have no faith in humankind, and they're only afraid for their own skin and not for yours or his or hers. They're selfish. I was scared in that time, but never for myself. I was scared they'd get the kids, or my own kids, or my wife, but I was never scared for myself. There were people who couldn't have hidden Jews, but they'd cover and protect those who did. No one could imagine what it was to go through a war like that. I hope if there comes another war, that the very first bomb would hit us. What it must have been like for that mother to give up her children to someone else she didn't know. And I'll show you some of the pictures that appear in the article. This is Hyde and Mem when they were young. And this is Hyde, of course, when he is much older. And here's a picture of their
This, the
Greta. They called her Zeus. She was their sister.
I give her the name Zeus.
Someone gave her the name.
That was the sister. That was their daughter.
This is their daughter.
I went to Canada and I asked her, why you have a name Zeus? And she says, Bob, you don't remember, you give me the name.
Wow.
So all the family called her Zeus.
So here you see her, and here you see
זה לפני שהם נסעו לקנדה, הם צילמו אותי ואת חווה.
Wow, that is so...
זה 48.
That was in 48. And
וזאת הדודה, אחות של אמא, ואני ואחותי הלכנו לבית החולים לאמא.
1 minute.
Shlomo with his aunt, the sister of his mother.
This is... And how old were you? This was straight after the war?
When you went to visit, באיזה שנה זה היה בערך?
זה 48.
1948.
And that's your mother's sister?
Yes.
Who also survived?
Yes, she was married to a non-Jew. She wasn't a woman who had a very strong character, unfortunately. Correct? Someone says, the less said, the better.
בעלה היה כלב. וזה במוסק, בעפולה.
That's Shlomo and his sister
In the children.
in the children's home.
In Afula, this is when you first came?
Yeah.
I don't know, first came, I don't know.
מה?
התמונה הזאת, זה בדיוק שבאתם? לא.
לא, אני לא יודע. אני לא זוכר שצילמו על זה.
So it doesn't remember even when they took the photo.
יכול להיות שהלכנו בים, לא יודע, לא זוכר.
And Shlomo, wow, you read it so well, Miriam. It's so moving. It's so amazing. Shlomo, can I just ask, are you in touch with the family still, with the children?
אתה עוד בקשר עם זוס?
This died a half year ago.
Oh, half a year ago. Oh.
But we have now with
The grandchildren?
שהתחתנה עם הבן. היא כותבת לנו. ויש לה איזה משפחה בארץ. אני לא יודע איך באו
I don't know exactly. The son of the people who...
One of them, they have two sons.
They have two sons. One of the sons married a girl who has family here. So.
Really?
And the second boy, his name is Bob. And I asked this, why you give him the same name Bob? She's after you.
Wow. That is amazing. And Shlomo, you have here, this is really something that a lot of people don't know about, but this is a book of the whole Jewish community.
All the people from Holland.
And it's got your family inside.
Of course, all my family.
If you look here, okay, I'll show, the ones from Haringman, I
This whole book is just from Holland. The Jews.
just from Holland. It doesn't say Holland. Okay.
It's a Zachor
Wait a
book.
second. I'll look.
Miriam Yishpo.
No, this is in this page. You actually.
These are the names I'm reading, but I want to say where it's written something about Holland.
But this is.
Vas, Beslap, oh, you know how many families I have.
And it tells
Nobody
exactly.
come back.
It
Here,
says,
it's
and
here.
it's got your father as well, Sobibor,
Yeah, that's right.
and the majority went to Auschwitz. They were killed.
Me.
Yes. Most of the people from Haringman died in Auschwitz. Your father is
Sobibor, 43,000.
Wait a second. You want the... This is the book that came out in Holland in 1995.
So Holland insisted on getting the documentation of all its citizens that were killed in the Shoah.
מי נתן את העדות ליד ושם?
בקשר למי?
לכל היהודים מהולנד? ממשלת הולנד נתן את זה?
אף אחד לא, מי נתן.
It's
זה
not clear.
פרטי.
He said it's personal. No, government. Where did they? Let's say.
זה לא בשביל יד ושם.
I know. I'm just looking to see if it's.
זה היהודים הוציאו בהולנד. מטעם ממשלת
So this
הולנד.
is in.
This book came out in Holland. Wait again, this book. The text, but it was printed in America. Am I right?
The Hague.
The Hague, 1995. So what do they say?
בהתחלה זה היה בדפים. אני זוכר ביד ושם מצאנו את זה בדפים.
Ken, they had the pages of testimony.
In,
יש לי עוד דוגמה שאנחנו עשינו.
מה אני יודע מה יש לך?
Because I gave for Shlomo, for his immediate family, you can give a page of testimony. So that we did, for as many people as we knew,
Now they built in Holland, in Amsterdam, חומה ענקית.
They built
שכל השמות רשומים באמסטרדם.
it's also going to be in Amsterdam.
in
all the
Amsterdam
names.
also.
Now, a month ago,
I don't know who sent it to us.
Freddy,
A cousin of Shlomo
אבל
sent
יש לי את זה גם בעלה.
And Shlomo, if I can ask you, what advice or what answer, what advice do you, or what message do you impart on your children and grandchildren? Because you went through so much, you and your sister, look what you both went through.
איזה מסר יש לך לילדים והנכדים?
I thought, where he is, he doesn't nothing about me, my children. I haven't told them.
You never told your children?
My daughter, she מתעניינת.
She's the one who's interested most.
But did you used to tell your children?
הבנים לא מתעניינים.
Our sons were less interested in knowing all the details.
Did you discuss this a lot with your children when they were growing up?
No.
Not.
We went to Yad Vashem. I took them to Yad Vashem. And when we had the tree.
לא, איתן נסע לפולין לאושוויץ.
That's right. Our youngest son went to Poland with school.
והוא את כל השמות הוא הקריא
That's right.
באושוויץ.
He read the names of all the family. But we have a tree in Yad Vashem for the people who...
On the righteous, Chasidei
righteous,
Motalam, the
that's
righteous. But Shlomo, well, you and your sister, what you went through, is your sister still alive?
No.
No, she died 5 years ago from cancer.
Oh, as well. And she was married?
Yeah, she was married.
And
she has
she-
2 sons.
She had 2 sons.
And do they
She had
know
trouble.
the story? Or
And
They know the story.
are they living here in Israel?
Yeah, they live in Israel, the 2 sons.
Wonderful. And Shlomo, but what message do you give to the future generations or to your grandchildren? What can they learn from what you've gone through?
they know my story. I don't know. Ask them. Don't ask me.
I know, but if somebody had to say you were saved by righteous Gentiles, that it's unbelievable that they were willing to sacrifice their lives to save strangers. It's something hard to believe. It's unbelievable.
I give him here a life from 3 Israelis.
And Israel's important.
They know that I have made the war. They know that, but always I say we are Israelis. I was in the army. I was a parachutist in the army. All my children now I
Oh, yeah.
have 2 grandchildren,
In the army.
girls in the army.
And Shlomo, you were a Yamalka, but your parents, you didn't come from a very religious
Oh,
family.
this is
That's a story. That's a story. You won't believe
When I
it.
was in the children's home in Holland, the family there were Orthodox. But the most of the children were not Orthodox. But there was Shabbat. I saw it for the first time. Shabbat, Leila Seder, that's for the first time. When I come here with the ship, עמדו על השולחנות, אבל בנמל חיפה,
In Haifa.
In Haifa?
and one of them, my sister stayed one before me, there was another person, קיבלנו תעודת זהות,
They got an ID card.
The ID card?
yes, and my sister, they asked me, דתי, לא דתי.
They didn't know Hebrew. They understand.
My sister asked me, דתי, לא דתי. I said, no, it's not good. דתי.
Love is not good.
It's not good to say that.
She said, דתי. So they sent us to a Mossad דתי.
They sent us to a religious children's home because they said Dati. They didn't know a word of Hebrew.
It's amazing. And you were sent to, did you go direct to Shluchot?
No, they went. No, we're talking
I
about.
was in the beginning in
90
Karkur,
Karkul.
Kakur.
in a British army camp.
In Kakur.
Yes, Karkur, Pardes Chana. מחנה 80 it is today. And it was a bridge, oh, it was so bad there. No, 1,000 children. It was not good, it was no food. It was, we were there with other children from Holland, but they, Chava and me, we were the last there. And one day, Chava come to me, and she cried. I said, what is it? She said, they sent me to a children's home in Petach Tikva. I said, no, me not. I said, you don't go to Petach Tikva, we stay together. And I went to the office. It was a tzrif in kama madrigot.
With a few stairs.
It was a.
And we sit there, and we cry. Everybody come, what is that? 2 children were crying. And the Menahel al-Machaneh,
The
head of the
head of the
camp.
Machane.
the
Of the camp.
but he doesn't know to speak Hebrew. But the doctor there was from Holland. And he came to us and I said, why you cry? I said, no, they want to send my sister to a children's home in Petach Tikva. I don't give her to go there. We are together. And then they said to my sister, no, you don't go. We went for another place, and you go Bishop Brother. And in, I think 13 January 1950, they sent us to Mossad Omen Bafula. But the building was nothing inside. The children from Yemen, and we came there, and after some days, began snow in all Israel. I say, oh, they told us in Israel there's no snow in there. Was
In 1950 there was.
Was in all Israel was snow. That's the last time. זהו, אנחנו נגמור?
No,
And
there.
then from there, when did you go to Shlichut?
From the Mossad.
And I thought that it was
When I
all.
finished, Alet Noah sent
For the
me
youth.
to Chevrat Noah to Shluchot.
To Shlichut. And that's where you met your wonderful wife.
No, I was there 3 years, and then I went to the army 2.5 years, and I came back. There was no place where I can go.
That was your home?
I went back to Shluchot.
He had no home.
You had no home, yeah.
It was after the army, and they came from America. She was 17 years old, and I was 23. And but I say always I don't want Americans. No, it's not for me. And I had a friend, that's Perch, and he had one of the girls. They were friends. He said there's another girl. Maybe she will take you go with her. And they asked Miriam. I said, this is somebody, can you speak with him? She said, hey, why not? And she gave me a cup of coffee from America, Nescafe. You know, we drink in the kibbutz. So bad coffee there.
Then, American instant coffee was, something. And, all Americans, we took it with us.
But then I don't think about it. But we meet again, and then it began.
Baruch Hashem.
He said, would you like to see, he took me to see, at Atikot.
Yes, I take it to Beit Sha'ar to see the Atikot.
It's the ruins.
The other ones, that's right.
And Shlomo, you've always worn a kippah since you came to
Yeah,
Israel?
always.
And your emunah's always been there. You've always had emunah.
Also my children. All my children are Orthodox. And I have now 2 grandchildren, and they take out of the kippah.
Well, please God. Sure, so Shlomo and Miriam, I just want to thank you both. And I am extremely grateful. I am so grateful to you, Shlomo and Milim. I'm so incredibly grateful, and Miriam really as well. I know it's very difficult to remember, and I know it's going to be hard to
But
see.
a lot of people here can tell you more stories than me.
But your story and this book, it is absolutely unbelievable. Portraits of moral courage in the Holocaust. Wow.
Oh,
and
yeah,
you think-
this is in Dutch. May I make it for the children in English? What he told here, when he told me that there were places in the war, I remember one thing, that I was in the Yale.
In the jail.
In the jail, you remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Because his mother
But
was hidden.
Wait,
Okay.
but I said, it's impossible. I am the jail. When I went to Canada, I asked this, were we, my sister and me, 3 days in the jail? She said, yes. I said, I remember that. We were upstairs in the Ta'im,
In the cells.
itself, and downstairs was the Gestapo. And we must be quiet. And I was angry. I say, this, how they sent us, Chava and me, to the Yale. She said, Shlomo, man was with you.
They hid upstairs.
They hid upstairs.
The shoter,
The policeman, who was a friend of theirs, found a place that was upstairs,
And he hid them.
and he hid them there.
how,
So you in the same prison where the Gestapo was underneath?
yes.
That's why they had to be so careful. They couldn't move about.
Because they used
Oh,
to go...
They hear
I
something.
can't tell so much of things.
Shlomo, this is unbelievable. You know, maybe they were going to the houses and they were searching the houses
That's
to look
right.
for Jewish children, and that's the safest place would be to take to the... What
That's why they were afraid. That's why the Dutch police shouldn't know that these people were hiding with the Jewish children. They were in danger also. The people who hid Shlomo, she was
very
there.
much in danger. If
What?
they were stories where people that were found rescuing or helping Jewish
right.
in Holland were killed.
And they went to Canada. And we went to Israel. So I said, no, there's no more contact with me and the Fries. I don't know where they are in Canada. And they don't know
That
that
you-
we were here, where we were. And I remember I was in the children's home, and there was a
A
series
film.
about a child. He lost his father and mother, and he found them after years and years. And I said to Chava, where are Mem and Heid? So I read a letter to Hoensbroek, to the police in Hoensbroek. I said I was in the war, my family, the Fries, they're now in Canada. And maybe you have the address. And he was a friend, he was the head. He sent my letter to Canada. And then we have the contact.
Amazing.
Isn't that right?
And Shlomo, were you instrumental in getting Yad Vashem to recognize as Chasidei Motalam, as righteous Gentiles?
אתה היית פעיל שהם יקבלו חסידי אומות העולם? היית באמת?
בשביל עד ומם, שהם אמרו, הם באים לישראל,
כן, אבל אתה פעלת שהם יקבלו את זה? לא.
אני באתי להעיד.
אתה העדת, אבל לא היית יוזם.
אני הייתי היוזם, מי היה היוזם?
Shlomo was the one who...
Shlomo, you were the one. You wanted them to get
Yes, my
righteous.
sister was in Paris in this time. She doesn't know about the making. And they came here.
That's right.
And from here, they went to my
Paris.
sister in Paris.
It must have been very, very emotional when they got the award from Yad Vashem.
And how? זה היה מאוד מרגש שהם קיבלו את זה.
They have a medallia. He always had the medallia in his back. And when he died, I asked this, where is the medallia? She said, with me. I said, what will you do with the medallia? And she said, I want to give it to the old...
There's a Jewish museum and the Jewish old age home
yeah, and they went...
In Toronto.
in Toronto.
In Toronto, in London.
London.
London,
Ontario.
In Ontario.
And they told us they will build it in the wall.
A showcase.
But I asked now, a half year ago, that she my bed.
The daughter-in-law.
Yes. I said, where's the medallion? Is it in London? She said, no! We have the medallion.
It's much better. It's better that it stays within the family.
That's right.
It's much better.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I just have to ask you this last question because this is a very, very difficult.
But, איך קוראים להם? נו, אלה בבית וגם. הוא שלח אותו.
Eisen.
Anyway, they don't know my story.
Well, they'll know it now.
A little
Okay.
bit.
Guido's
Shlomo,
family
can I
comes from
ask you?
Poland.
Yeah. Can I
I
ask
speak
you?
too much today.
You not at all. Shlomo, if the tables were turned, would you? I know this is hard, but would you risk your life and the life of your family to save a non-Jewish Dutch?
Non-Jewish.
If you were in that position, what would one do? It's a very difficult question because
I don't know.
yeah.
I have friends Arabic, and I told me if there will be something, I will take them home.
You would.
Yeah.
We have an Arab who works for us.
Only if there are no anti-Israelis.
Yeah.
If they're anti-Israelis, of course not.
But if they weren't and if they're innocent, you would risk your life.
Yes. But I hope it will.
It will never have to happen. Sure, this has been there are no words really, and you should just both of you have
But
mazel and
what will you do with that?
This everybody must see your story, what you've been through, what's written here, how you made the connection. You didn't have to go and write. You were young, you were in Israel, and you write to find where they're living and to reconnect. It's such karasa tov. You have such gratitude, and we are so grateful to you.
But I told you more what they told, and you haven't see what he fight about us.
This is a Dutchman. This book came out in
Yes, 3 years
Dutch.
ago. Now we are very friends with them in Holland.
The person who wrote this book about
We-
And it has you
Yes.
inside this book as well.
2 years ago, when the book was out,
When the book came out,
I
we went to
told
Holland.
Miriam, we go to Hoensbroek.
And you went back.
Yes, we went to Hoensbroek.
And how was it when you went back? Did you go back to the house that you were?
There's no more.
It's no more.
No, but the it was a big room in a hall. About 400, 600 people were there. No Jews. And they make music, Yerushalayim, Shazam. And they asked me if I want to speak with them. And I say, we don't forget what the Dutch people did to the Jewish people in Israel, in Holland. That 85% of the Jewish killed, and you doesn't help them. We don't forgive you. And they say,
But you had the 15% that did help, and that made all the difference. Yeah.
the Catholic here, all the people, you will see, were only Protestants, no Catholic.
The Catholic didn't help.
Haven't helped. But he find, I don't remember that Heid had a family, a good friend in a village not far from there. He was very Catholic. And he had 8 children. And he had also a Jewish boy with him.
Wow.
But when there were no place to put us, they bring my sister and me to them. And they take us to the apartment. The Bet Shemush was outside. There were no douche.
No showers.
No
A
shower.
very, very small apartment. And we stayed there with them. And he say, can you, there's one daughter, she's still alive. Will you speak with her? I say, yes. I want to know But we did with the family there. And I spoke with her. She was so happy. Bobby, you're alive. Where are you? She was 87, 89. I don't know. She said, I want to see you. She said, I remember you, 2 small children. And one day, Mem asked me to buy you shoes. And I walk, and on the way, German soldiers. And you begin to cry. So I take you home. and then she told, you know that Mem, that your mother take you from them. She cried a lot. And one day, all my family went to Maastricht to meet your mother and you and your sister. And she was sick, your mother. And she was very happy to meet us. But you went to Israel and we don't know more. And I'm happy that you called me. And I called her later, 2 months later, and they told me she died.
Wow, but you saw her. You
No,
but you spoke to her. You were in contact with her. Baruch, what a miracle.
Mamash.
Remember, you know, in this book, if you could also just show it. So this is the Yutz,
This is the book. Oh, it's all in Dutch.
but it's got pictures as well.
Okay, that's Haringman.
Ja, weggeluisterd. De Mary zit hem daarvoor.
No, it's
No,
in
no,
Dutch.
no, it's in Dutch. But we'll show the pictures.
Okay.
So this is,
Okay, you want me to, I'll say,
Yeah.
you want me to sit on the sofa or here? Or where do
okay,
I-
it's fine. I'll just,
We'll show you the pictures, okay? This is the book I'll say.
okay.
Dus Joods, onder daar, wat is dat?
Yeah, Jews in hiding, okay.
Is dat dan met Menachem Moshe?
No, there's more. There's
There's
actually,
issue there. This is a book that was written by Jan Vandenberg. He himself came from the south. Hoe was Obama doing?
Beter gewoon bij Hoensbroek.
he comes
The
from.
writer of the book, he comes from Hunsbrook himself. And we met him, he came here to Israel, and he wrote a book about Jews who were hidden in Hunsbrook. That's the name of the book. And here...
Oh, ze zit een beetje goed.
So he tells the whole story.
So he gives, in this book, it tells about Shlomo and his sister, Chava. It's a story, you know, it's about who they were and how they got to the south of Holland.
And here's got
And
a picture.
And here you have a picture of Johannes and Janka de Vries. These are the people who hid Shlomo and his sister.
This picture appears in the rescues as well. In
In the rescuers it also appears, correct? This is a picture of them you can see when they're young. The picture, this is a picture that was taken in 1939. So that's even before before the children came to them. And here there's a picture. This is a picture that was taken during the war of Shlomo and his sister when they were in hiding.
there's a baby, like a baby carriage.
Yes, it's a children's. It's not a baby carriage. I think it's a children's carriage, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's a children's baby carriage.
Do they give the year that it was taken? But it was while they were in hiding.
There was. That's when she was still when they were not together. When she was at this, he came to visit her when she was at this family. She was in Trebek by the Statsman Emma. But they had 6 children of their own, so that's how they got cold feet about keeping Shlomo's sister. So she came. She was afterwards. She was with Shlomo. I don't know how long she was with these people. And these are 2 pictures that were taken. 1944, I think. These were taken by a professional photographer in Hunsbrook when they were in hiding. And what they did is the photographer put it in the window. And the people...
And these are the pictures that they bought the... Okay. Okay, if I could just show, if I could just zoom into the picture. And they bought the pictures. Wow, you were very handsome. Shlomo, you were handsome, you and your sister. Wow. And I think there's one more picture.
This picture is from 1944.
1944.
זה יותר מוקדם.
זה יותר מוקדם?
כן. כשבאתי להם לא היה לי בגדים. אז היא תפרה מהשמלה, היא תפרה לי את הבגדים.
This is earlier. She sewed clothes for Shlomo. This suit she made for him, where he was hidden.
Geez.
So it was earlier than 44.
I think there's just one more picture.
Okay. And there's one more picture.
זה מיד ושם פה.
This is 1955. Shlomo and Chava.
זה יד ושם.
Yad Vashem. And this is at the ceremony.
That's at the ceremony.
What?
That's at the ceremony in Yad Vashem.
Yes, for the tree that was planted in their honor. There was a whole ceremony at Yad Vashem. In fact, we were there 2 weeks ago. 2 months ago. The tree is fine. And here they're just planting the tree.
And what year was that?
I think in 1977.
Wow.
I think that's the last picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Shlomo, you are, it's incredible. At 8, there's a word, 8 stierkens. It's unbelievable. Shlomo, thank you so much. And you should both have just mazel bracha at Me'aveh Stream in good health, and just nachas from your family, and just all of Hashem's blessings, which you both so deserve.
Thank you so much.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm so extremely grateful to you. Toda rabba.
Nearly ודוב שלו.
תודה רבה.
גם דוב יש לו סיפור, הרי הוא בפולין.
So you never had a bar mitzvah? You never?
I was in the Mossad a little bit. But my children told me they make a bar mitzvah for the father. And they make it in the big synagogue in Bet HaKerem. And they ask all my friends to come there and the family. And they asked me question and I told them. And they make a party, the children make it, and it was very, very nice.
And this is when you were 83?
בן 83 או בן 80?
I was then 80.
80, you were 80.
I'm now 83.
Because 83 is, you can have another bar mitzvah.
No.
Shlomo ad Me'aveh Stream till 120 in Bemet in good health and Muslim bracha.